Hi, and welcome to the training video for AREIS Lite. By now, your AREIS Lite account should be ready, and you should have received an email from Podio to go ahead and sign up for Podio's account. And once you sign up, your first screen, after going through probably a little tour, will bring you into something that looks a little something like this. I want you to, for right now, go ahead and bypass all of this. You don't need to worry about anything that's over here. You're going to come straight to where it says choose a workspace, hit the drop down, and pick the account that says AREIS Lite, or it might be called your name and AREIS Lite. Once you go in there, this is the main screen of your account. Right here on the left hand side is your activity stream. So here you're going to see anything that you've done in the past, and you can scroll back as far as you want. Few things I want to go over real quick is in the video we told you that AREIS Lite is actually designed to bring in leads from your local city. So over here, if you take a look at it, you had a lead that came in from Must Sell about 19 minutes ago. This is a seller that raised their hands and said that, hey, they need to sell their house. You also had another lead that came in about 20 minutes ago from As Is. They're saying, hey, I want to sell my house as is. About 25 minutes ago, you had a lead that came in from a house that needs a TLC, and so on and so forth. As you can see, these leads are continuously piling in into your account. And you could also see the leads right here. You've got handyman special, motivated seller, needs work, needs TLC, must sell, immediately, under market, as is, ASAP. These are, sorry, didn't mean to click on that. These are leads that are continuously coming into your account on a daily basis that you can start talking to people right away. Besides that, right here on the right hand side, you should see a task list. Again, AREIS Lite is designed on Podio, and Podio is a task-based system. So what Podio does so well is it lets you know where you stand in every lead and what your next step is. What you need to do. Is it a new lead? Do you need to call them? Do you need to pull comps? Is the property under contract? Do you need to market to buyers? And by clicking on this, it's basically a shortcut that takes you directly into that lead. We're going to skip all of that. I want to go ahead and take you straight into how you're going to add a brand new lead, and then we'll come back and kind of go over some shortcuts here. So the app that you're going to be working in the most is called Residential. Now all of these are called apps, and right here is the app that you're going to be working in the most. Right. Now you're in. These are your residential leads app. These are all test subjects, so you're not going to really see a lot in this training video. But here is where you'll see a list of everybody that you've entered in, and you'll kind of see an image of the property or a Google map of the property. What type of property is it? If you marked how many units, you'll get to see that, and what's the average rent for the property, you'll get to see that as well. But let's go ahead and add a brand new lead so you get to see what it looks like. Come in here, add a lead. And let's call this person Jane Doe. As soon as you add their name, I want you to go ahead and save the lead right away. And the method behind that, we'll discuss that a little bit later, but I want you to save it right away. Now, what I want to show you is as soon as you save this person, let's say somebody called you and they left you a message, before you call them, you want to go ahead and save them as a lead in here. And if you see, Podio already, or AREIS Lite already went ahead and created a task for you that says, there's a new lead, you need to call them. So there's times where you want to enter a lead in, but you just don't have time to call them back right away. Well, you just entered a lead. Now the system is going to remind you, hey, you have a new lead, you need to call them, right? So let's say you're talking to the seller, and let's just go through some basic steps right now. So enter their email account, and you could add as many as you want. Let's enter their phone number. Right? Before we move any forward, if your computer is set up with your email accounts properly, you could actually just hit send email, and it's going to pop up your email account, and you can send an email directly from within AREIS Lite. Same thing about phones. If you are connected to FaceTime, or if you're connected to Skype, depending on what kind of computer operating system you have, you can press a button right here, and the system will call out using that particular program within your account, and it's automatically configured, so that way you don't have to open up different programs to do all of that stuff. All right, in here, let's go ahead and type in a residential address. Now this is connected to Google Maps. So while you're typing it in, Google will find out what address, or will give you recommendations of what address you want to use. So go ahead and hit enter. And you're going to see a Google map of the property right away. It tells you kind of where it's located, and if you want, you could click on it and expand it, and you'll see a Google image of the property again right away. So while you're talking to the seller, you get to see what their house looks like. No jumping back and forth, no telling him, "Hey, let me call you back." You kind of get a snapshot of what you're working with. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is Google image, so we don't know how updated it's going to be. But again, it gives you a snapshot and it lets you work with something rather than not working with anything. Also, while you're talking to the seller, if this property has a Zillow link, it's going to be loaded right here. And when you click on it, it's going to open up a new window and it's going to take you actually to Zillow. And you'll get to see all the information that Zillow has on the property, again, while you're talking to the seller. So you never have to go away from the program. You never have to hang up on them. It'll tell you everything that you need to know about the property, right? And then from this point onwards, this is basically just a seller script. So we're going to go down and start filling in the information. What type of property is it? Again, if it's a duplex, triplex, fourplex, you want to put how many units. We're going to say that it's a single family. If they're rented out, you could put the rent right here. Again, we're going to say it's a owner operated single family. If they have any vacancies, you could put that in there. You don't need to in this particular example. And then let's go from here. It's got 4 beds, 3.5 bath. It's got a 2-car garage. It's 2,000 square feet. Right. There's no pool. The property was built in 1999. The lot size is about 8,000 square feet. All right. And again, everything that you see right here, it's being registered right here. Podio's keeping a track of all your activity, and if you wanted to, you could actually come right here and redo anything that you want to. And it'll give you a time of when this is done, so you could keep a track, a written track of when this information was added. Right? Especially this is useful when you have a VA. If you want the VA to jump in here and do this, you could tell when the changes were made. Right? How long have you owned the property? And I'm going to fill this out as generic as possible. We're not going to get too much into details. What's the estimated cost of repairs? 25,000. Here you could actually give a description of repairs. I'm just going to go ahead and say foundation and roof. Right? It's a self-managed property. You're retiring, and that's why you're selling this. I don't even know if I spelled that right. Your asking price is about $200,000. Right? Is the price flexible? No, it's not. And does the owner have a mortgage? Yes, he does. And then here, if you wanted to add any additional information, like what type of mortgage it is, what kind of interest rate they have, and anything else that you want to do that's not covered in your script, you could actually add that in here. And then here, the motivation level, this is honestly just for you to mark down that, hey, this guy is really interested in selling. Or, you know what, he might not be interested at all, and you don't want to waste your time with them. However you want to mark it. Now, this is where the power of Podio actually comes into play, the stage you lead. Here, you're going to see a list of buttons. This is basically just you trying to keep track of where you stand. So let's say a person called you, and you entered in as much information, and you called them, and they didn't pick up. You're going to go ahead and click on first attempt. When you do that, if you notice right here, a task was created for you automatically that says first attempt was made, call for second attempt. All the other buttons kind of follow the same routine. You're going to make 3 attempts to call this person. After the 3rd attempt, if they don't pick up, according to us, it's a dead deal. If you weren't able to get in touch with them or they haven't responded back to you yet, it's a dead deal. Now, if the person does pick up and it's not a good time to talk, you can press a button and it's going to go ahead and create another task for you that says go ahead and call the seller back. This was just not a good time. Everything is set for the very next day. All right, and the task is right here, so on and so forth. If you need to pull comps and you just don't have time to pull comps right then and there, press that button. The system will remind you need to come back and pull comps on this property. If you made a verbal offer and you're waiting for the seller to get back to you, again, you can mark it and say verbal offer has been made. You need to call the seller back. If you send the contract on the property, same scenario. Contract's been sent. Now you're waiting for the seller to sign up, but you don't want to forget about it. So again, the system will remind you a contract's been sent. You need to follow up. If the property is under contract, again, exact same thing. You got the property under contract. You need to go ahead now and market it to buyers. And the system will remind you that these are things that you need to do. And if it's a no deal, you get to see where the no deal happened, how far you got in the process, and then you marked it as a no deal. And this way, the system will remind you, hey, these are things that need to happen. Also, if there's anything that you need to add that can't be added in there, well, guess what? You could actually add comments in here. So you can come in, and by the way, we just clicked under contract. It said property under contract, market to buyers. It's a task for you. You could come in here and write seller wants $2,000 down, right? And add that in. Now this note's going to stay there. So these are notes just for you. So if you don't want to see all of this, you just want to see your comments, click on comments, and you get to see what you've written down. This is a great way of keeping track of what it is that the seller wants. Now, this is going to be a little backwards, but I want you to pass up ARV, max offer, and verbal offer for right now. I want you to go ahead and jump down to where it says comp 1. And if you see right here, you've got a comparable map. This actually shows you where your property is. And we're going to go ahead and add just 2 comps in here. And I'm going to make up some addresses in Austin. I honestly don't know any places around there. I just have a friend who lived there, so we just picked that address. Let's just do 19527 St. Chisholm and see if that's a property. It is. All right. So you went ahead and added that as a property, and you'll get to see a Google map of that particular property as well. Now, what I want you to notice is as soon as we entered this, that property came up right here. So now this is your property, and your first comp is listed right here, and it's marked with the number 1. So you get to see the proximity of your comps as well. All right. Same information about the comps as well. Now, you don't have to enter all this stuff in. This is basically just for your general knowledge, but it's a 4-bed, again, 3-bath. It has a 1-car garage. It actually does have a pool. The areas that I would tell you to fill in is the square feet, very important. And this is 1,500 square feet. And you know what? We're going to pass up year built and lot size and the sale price. These things are very, very important. Right? Those 2 things are needed for your calculations. Now, what I want you to see is as soon as you enter that in, you scroll up, now your ARV and max offer has been calculated. Based on your comps, your system's actually telling you that the property that you're looking at is valued at about $200,000 based on the comps that you've entered. Your max offer should be 115. Now your max offer is 70% of your ARV minus your rehab costs, which is very important to understand. So you're actually taking the seller's word on the fact that the estimated cost of repairs is $25,000. The seller told you that the cost of repairs is nothing, and you come back down, you get to see that your max offer now changed to $140,000. Now you want to do your due diligence, you want to go ahead and see the property or however you have your process set up, but you still need a starting point. So this tells you, based on what the seller's telling you, hey, this property, the max I'm willing to pay you is 140. If the seller's not willing to accept a price range that's lower than that, it's probably not worth your time to go all the way out there. Now this number will change obviously as you put more and more information. So if you put more comps, you're going to see that value changing all the time. So you could add up to 6 different comps and you'll see that value changing. But I just want to add 1 comp to show you where it is. Now if you went ahead and entered all 6 comps, you get to see how far they are from your property, right? The closer they are, obviously the more relevant they are. From here, you could actually now call the seller up and say, hey, you know what? I've reviewed the property. I'm going to go ahead and offer you $125,000. That's your verbal offer to the seller. Now, once the seller accepts the offer, or if you guys go back and forth and the seller calls you back and says, hey, look, I don't want to do 125, I'll do 130. All right, we're going to go ahead and accept 130. That's your final offer. You went ahead and made a verbal or final offer of 130. You created a contract, you sent it to them. So this is kind of how the process works. You put in a verbal offer, you send a contract. Once a contract signed, you go ahead and place it under contract. All right. So that's basically the process of how AREIS Lite takes care of everything that you need to put in here. Now, one thing I want to show you, and I want to refresh the page before I show you this, is your tasking. We just created a bunch of tasks for this particular property. We want to be able to see those tasks. So if you scroll all the way down now, you'll get to see these are your tasks. So it actually tells you, hey, there's a new lead, you need to call them. Once you finish the task, you just check it off, and that task is gone. It doesn't take it away from the lead, but it tells you you've done that. The property is under contract. Now again, this will go based on when you press what buttons. So if you need to call for a second attempt, you call for a second attempt, you're done. If you need to call the seller back at a specified time, you did that, it's done. Now the property is under contract, you need to market it to buyers. Once you market it to buyers and you've sold the property, you're basically done with this lead. Check it off and you've moved on. You're done with this particular lead. I'm going to leave these tasks open for right now because I do want to show you another place that you can see them. Right? But before we jump out, one of the other things that we did speak about is Podio has a capability of adding your files into Podio, right? Anything and everything you want to add, you could actually add directly into Podio, meaning your contract, your images, everything that you want to add, you could actually add directly into Podio. So let me see if I could find a document, a contract. So let's say we created a contract. We literally just drag and drop the contract into the files and you'll see that contract being uploaded. Now the one that I have, it's a huge contract, it's got a bunch of other information, so it might take a little while, but that contract will be loaded within Podio. So from this point onwards, if you sent the contract over to the seller and the seller has some questions, you don't have to go through your filing cabinet and pull that contract up. It's actually loaded into your AREIS Lite program. Same thing with your images. Same thing with your other files. They're all loaded up on here. Your assignment contract, you can load it up on here. Copy of your earnest money check, you can load it up on here. Anything and everything that you would need for the property, you can load it up on here. And you can load as many of them as you want. There are no restrictions. There's no file sizes. There's no limits. Again, depending on how big the file is, it's going to take a little while for it to upload. Right? So that's how the residential lead system works. It should be pretty self-explanatory. From here, I want to go ahead and jump back into, and you could jump out anytime. You could actually either hit the residential leads button up here and it will take you back to your screen. You could hit AREIS Lite, either one, and it will take you back into your program. So if you hit AREIS Lite, it's going to bring you back to your activity. If you hit residential leads, it's going to bring you back into your residential leads. So let's go into residential leads so you get to see where the property is. So now Jane Doe is listed right here and you get to see all your leads back and forth. One thing I want to show you is as soon as you log in under your activity, now you've got a list of tasks. So those tasks that were listed over there are now here as well. So let's say that you've got a property under contract, you want to market to buyers, you can just click here. It will take you into the task system and you could click the person's name and they'll take you inside their account again. It's just an easy shortcut to be able to jump in and now you can do everything that you need to do. Once you check off the task, by the way, you could hit this X right here and it'll take you out again. Once you check off the task, you're done with it. And this task is going to be gone now. So also, if you've done these tasks and you remember off the top of your head and you don't want to jump in every single account, you could actually mark off tasks right here as well. And as you mark them off, you're going to see that they're going to start to disappear. When you refresh the page, they should be gone from here now. So that way you only see active tasks, you don't see anything else. Right? That's basically a gist of AREIS Lite and how you should be using it as a customer relationship manager. It's an extremely powerful tool. It's got a lot of great things that are built in there, and it will help you be able to keep track of all your leads and what you need to do. It will also show it to you right here. So again, it tells you that, hey, the seller wants a $2,000 down. You could actually add comments from in here. So if you don't want to jump in and find the leads, you could add comments for yourself right here. You could actually add comments for yourself right here as well. You can attach files right here as well. So if you want to attach any files, you can do that. You want to share a link to yourself, you can go ahead and do that. There's a ton of things that you can do in here. And this way it will always keep you posted. It'll always keep you updated on what's going on. All right. The last thing I want to cover is we're going to go ahead and take, let's take an as-is app. Right? As we said, you've got tons and tons and tons of leads that are coming in here on a daily basis. I mean, this account was honestly connected, I think, a day ago. And if you look at it, I mean, there's tons of leads in here coming in. I'm going to go ahead and pick the most, the freshest lead. So let's go ahead and pick this right here. And it tells you it was created May 11th. It tells you the title, Edmonds Firedale split level with extra large deck, blah, blah, blah. All right. It's a spacious 4-3 split level in Fairdale neighborhood of Edmonton's big window. Let a ton of sunlight come in. It basically gives you a gist of the property. If you want to see the link, you can go ahead and click right here and it will take you to the link of the property. And it tells you what it is that the seller wants and how much they want and if it's an as-is property and do you want to go ahead and purchase it and move on from there. So the leads are already built into the system, and if you look at it right here, it actually tells you this home is off market and it's in as is condition. So you know that this is a good lead. It's a property that's marketed specifically to investors. From here, you can call the seller. You can go into your residential leads app and you can add them in as a regular lead and add them through the pipeline. And again, it's a powerful tool. There's a ton of things that you can do with this particular program. These are just some of the things that we're showing you. I hope this helps. I hope this was a great training exercise. Um, Good luck in your endeavors, and I hope that AREIS Lite actually takes you further and assists you into becoming a better investor.